Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Chibi Noob.
I'm NV Jitters.
I'm CheerandCosplay.
And I'm Kozi.
And we're back with more movies that we decided to watch that each of us was recommending to each other this week. Whose was it?
It was mine this week.
What did we watch?
Inu-Oh.
Inu what?
Inu-Oh.
Inu-Oh.
Ooh.
I don't know what we did, but okay. Yeah, so Inu-Oh. I don't know, would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
No, you tell us about it. I'm not going to summarize
It's your movie, so...
It's about two friends who they both have like differences that make them sort of outcasts, and then they come together and they form like a sort of band and they become rock stars, but it's also like heavily based on like no theater. And there's a lot of like historical elements to it, but it combines like tradition versus like modernity. So it has like this rock music sound, but it also has like a very old style, like 14th century feel as well, like with the art and just the general setting. So it's a very uniquely made anime movie that I really enjoyed. I first saw it at a local theater and it was really cool to see on the big screen. And watching it again, I really enjoyed it as well. I think the musical performances were really like the highlight for me, but I really like the story as well and the animation. It's quite the spectacle, and I think that and the music are like what really draws me to this movie.
The story, Yin.
Yeah, I mean...
There's not much there.
I mean, it is a musical, so, you know.
Yeah, I guess you could say there's not too much of a story. It's definitely like the second half becomes more like an anime concert a little bit. But I think the underlying story is still there. I don't know. I like it for what it is, I guess, but I think definitely the music and the spectacle is the main thing. But I don't know. I like the story too.
I'm going to say this. For a movie that is about a rock and roll kind of group, for once, it was not just Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
There you go. You can say that about the story.
But yeah, this felt kind of like Devilman Crybaby meets Dororo meets a Queen soundtrack.
Well, I mean, the studio and the director of Devilman Crybaby made this, so you're half right.
It's got that animation kind of thing. It's got some plot elements, honestly, that I feel like straight from Dororo.
Maybe that's why I like the plot. It reminds me of Dororo.
Yeah, the singer for the opening, right?
Huh? Yep.
Yeah, that's Dororo's like opening. I definitely recognize that voice. That's a don't skip opening.
Yeah, their name is avu-chan. They're the lead singer of the band Queen Bee, and they have a very unique voice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
awesome.
And then I feel like they took from a lot of different musical artists and inspirations for some of the performances. So that was fun to watch and kind of be like, ooh, that thing, ooh, they're doing that thing pretty well. Yeah, this was a very interesting thing to watch for me because, like, on the one hand, I didn't realize this was on Netflix when I watched it earlier today. And I immediately anymore I feel like a lot of stuff I look for is like, oh, this is on some site that I don't have. So I go a-sailing, and I just started sailing today, and the site that I went to, it had a dub version, and it had a sub version, but the sub version did not have subtitles, so it defeats the whole purpose. So I watched it dubbed. They did not have subtitles for the still in Japanese songs.
Which is half of the movie.
It's more than half. It's at least 60% of the movie. So
I feel like I watched this originally subbed, and we watched it dubbed because that was what was on Netflix. But still, same thing where they didn't have subtitles during the songs, and I feel like that really kind of actually takes away from it.
I'll get there because
we probably could have just turned on subtitles.
Well, here's the thing.
There was subtitles for us.
I watched this movie subbed on Netflix with subtitles, and I watched it fine. So
just to finish up, I'm currently recording at Yin's. I had gotten here early enough that they were like, well, I haven't finished rewatching, because you'd already seen it.
I had already seen it a year ago, 2 years ago.
But we were like, you got how much of the movie left? Like an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, there's an hour before the call starts. Let's just finish it real quick. and I'll see if I can see what the actual songs were about. And that. So I do know what they're about. I did find it interesting that despite not knowing anything that was going on in any of the songs, still a fantastic movie to watch. Sans any context, this is still a fantastic movie to watch, and that is something to say.
True.
If we're gonna go into more detail of the plot, this is a period in Japan where there's two different courts that are essentially vying for control of Japan and like the shogunate and all that sort of stuff, and they're looking for sacred treasures that are like the imperial regalia, so that they can, essentially justify their position in society in that. And some of these treasures were lost in this like area at sea that one of our characters is from, and so they have to go looking for it. Ends up blinding him and killing his father, because it's the grass cutting sword of legend. And yeah, that's pretty much the end. We hear about that, but it essentially sets us up. But like, there was a whole war fought over the shogunate, and a lot of people died, and their stories were never told. And those stories are being told by our character Inu-Oh, who can see and hear the spirits. And he's telling their stories. And eventually, politics comes into it, and the guy who's in charge is like, I don't want you talking about those people that I killed.
Yeah.
So I need you to like, shut the fuck up. But yeah, he's also highly deformed because his dad made a deal with demons.
Like Dororo.
Going back to Dororo. And his mission is essentially to help other spirits to de-deform his body. So again,
Like Dororo.
But I like Dororo, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
But can we talk about how chill the demon actually was at the end? He's like, wait. You want to kill my gift? Fuck you!
This just might be me thinking like D&D logic, but a demon is a chaotic creature. A devil is a contract, like, it's all lawful stuff. I think this is more of a devil situation. Like, this guy was like, hey, we had a deal. Are you going back on the deal? Okay. Well, here's what's gonna happen to you. Splat. Which was a fun way for him to go, I guess.
Yeah. Deserved.
Like, not once did the demon even, like, yes, he deformed the kid, but, like, as he was fixing himself, the demon wasn't, like, trying to stop him or anything.
Yeah.
No.
He didn't care.
Again, I think goes more to that whole, like, well, I did my thing. Now, if he does something about that, that's his business, but I did my thing. Are you telling me to undo my thing? That's not gonna happen.
No, he was really just like, hey, that's my kid now.
He adopted him.
Oh, of course. It's the devil's kid. That's why he's so good at rock and roll.
Yes.
No, this was really fun to watch. Really great stuff, I think. I kind of think you undersold it whenever you
I
were
just,
setting it
like, I don't know. I've had experiences where, like, some people, I don't know, didn't like it or like there was some negative comments and stuff, so I feel like it's not everyone's cup of tea, which is fair. But I mean, I really love this movie. I think it's a great spectacle. I think it's a really interesting, like, unique sort of movie that I feel like everyone should watch, but like doesn't necessarily mean it's everyone's cup of tea, That's all I was trying to say before.
I guess my question is what were the grievances that other people who had seen the movie had that you heard? I guess I'm just kind of curious to hear what their thoughts were.
I think probably just that it was like weaker on plot and that most of it was just music, and maybe it should have been like just a series of like that, like just the music or something. Like maybe they didn't like the plot as much. They felt like there was a disconnect or something. I don't know. I've just heard like maybe comments online like that.
Okay, I guess for me, my takeaway from it was like the power of music brings people together, even like, basically anybody who is like maybe, different, which very much Inu-Oh and Tomoari are definitely like sort of like on the outs is what I would say. And I guess like so many people like resonated with said music as, because they drew the crowds with like their voices and their playing. I guess for me, it was kind of like music brought these two people together. And even after centuries, like there's still that connection, even if it was something that the shogunate essentially like wiped clean, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I guess for me, it was more I was looking more at the artistry of it rather than, I guess, like overall plot, because I don't really think it's necessarily there to have a plot. It's just there to tell you the story about these two people who ended up becoming really close friends and the thing that bounded them together.
Yeah, like I agree with you totally. Like I love this movie and I think it's really beautiful. But yeah, I mean, maybe I did like put too much of a caveat because of some comments I've heard online, but I think it's a fantastic movie. I'm glad you guys liked it.
And that's coming from
Yeah, I thought it was
me.
cool.
I don't generally like musicals that much.
Yeah, sure, you don't.
So
Ian, do you happen to know if the criticism came from people watching it in the dub? Because I am not going to let go of the fact that I think without the songs being subbed, and not getting the story out of the songs, it does feel like those sequences can kind of drag on and get very repetitive.
Yeah, when I watched the dub, because I originally watched the sub like fully in Japanese when I saw it in the theater, but like this time I decided to watch the dub. I don't know, like I had captions, but I don't know if it's just because I had closed captions on or not.
Cece, what did you think about like the performances? Because you didn't have any context for them.
Yeah, I really did not know what was going on, but I was vibing.
yeah, same here. I literally watched this earlier today. No subs whatsoever. I liked it.
She just colored on her computer.
I guess when I was watching it, because I had the captions on and I was watching the movie as a dub, I was like following along with the songs a lot more when the subtitles were on the screen. Mostly just because that's kind of how I just normally watch a lot of anime intros. They have the captions at the bottom and I just follow along with the words.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like Tomoari was having the songs and like telling the story of Inu-Oh, and Inu-Oh was just telling all of the stories that he wrote in his performances. And it was, I guess, sort of like Inu-Oh's songs, I feel like were kind of a metaphor for like varying things maybe, or he was just trying to be very poetic. I wasn't really sure.
No, those were the stories the spirits were telling him. They were all the dead
Right.
people who died in that battle from that clan that was essentially wiped out by the shogunate. And they were like,
Right.
hey, we can't rest until people hear our story. He's like, okay, I'll tell them.
Yeah,
Okay, but
sorry.
That's kind of what I mean, because without that context, all you have is like Tomoari dressing like a prostitute and gyrating on screen.
And you didn't like that?
No, not particularly, but I mean, like, I feel like without the added context there, it's just really like,
I don't know. I kind
Also-
of thought of it sort of like, is this kind of like with the, I guess for me, because he was like gyrating, I'm like, wait, is Tomoari Elvis with the hip thing?
No, that
guitar?
specifically, he was doing Iggy Pop there. But yes.
No, I get that, but still, it was like the same sort of thing. Like, the crowd was going crazy because, you know, he was sort of doing like different stuff that people weren't used to, and it was going against the norm for like what a rock star was doing at that time.
I think he does a little Jimi Hendrix too with the guitar on his head.
I think my main grievance is it kept going to his face, and the animation on his face was so fucking ugly.
Yeah, I will say that the
Agree
teeth,
to disagree. I think
little
teeth
ugly.
are not its strong suit.
okay, like he's not an attractive person, but
No.
it's animated so beautifully.
It is animated.
In that it's ugly, I guess. I don't know. This is a hard thing for me to like argue for them.
No,
It's
no, no,
good
no, no, no.
animation.
Not
it's
like
just of
the
an ugly
animation
person.
itself is bad. It's just
Yeah.
ugly looking.
Was anyone else? Would it be controversial if I were to like? You remember the Gorillaz music videos from like back in the late '90s, early 2000s?
No,
They
they're
kinda
still
had
making stuff.
a little bit of that. Little bit of that vibe, maybe.
I think they put out another album last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one
No,
pretty
but I'm just
recently.
remembering, like, specifically, like, the ones that they would put in the, God, what was that CD thing that you would have to, like, call and place an order, and it would be so many payments of X amount of money, and it would plus whatever amount of shipping.
That's like
Does anyone
500
remember
things
what
from
I'm
when we were
saying?
kids. What are you talking about? That's so many
Now that's what I call
infomercials.
music?
Yes! Yeah, that was like they would sometimes have little snippets of that music video in the commercials.
My dude, they're still making Now That's What I Call Music.
No, I know.
We have to look this up
I'm
every now and then. What are they at? 250?
No, I'm just specifically thinking of like gorillas.
Yeah, no, I know gorillas.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Is he giving you, who's the lead of that? No, Murdoch's Murdoch and Feel Good Inc., that music video. But I think he was trying to do Iggy Pop a little bit. I just go back to Iggy Pop and a lot of, like, other punk and glam rock acts from, like, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I think that's where they were drawing a lot of their inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, also, like, a lot of J-pop is kind of like men trying to lean into their sexual appeal.
Yes, just like Canada, the 80s didn't come to Japan until the 90s.
Listen, a lot of J-rockers end up making themselves look like bottom bitches. I'm gonna say it.
That's fine. I mean, nothing for nothing. Actually, he has got like 3 names throughout this. It's Tominari, Tomoichi. Tomo, I'm just gonna call him. Tomo kind of, yeah, he could be a top. You know, maybe he's a switch. I don't know. He's probably a bottom. All right, we can all agree.
He dressed like a geisha at the end there.
Yeah, didn't make a bad geisha.
You're just calling him ugly.
He's got ugly teeth, but his mouth looks closed almost the entirety through that scene.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure a lot of people had ugly teeth at that time.
No, yeah.
Inu-Oh's like face at the end is a jump scare.
Yeah, I was like, I got freaked out. I'm like, what is that makeup?
I really wish they had made him more attractive.
It's scary.
If I'm looking at it, and I think part of it was like a traditional kind of look to it because it's clearly he's made up.
Yeah.
And I think that was like part of it. If I'm looking beyond like the pink and green stuff going on his face, I think it actually is a good looking face. It's just sort of a problem of like, you got this crazy kabuki looking stuff on.
Yeah, I think the style of the anime in general is also in a very like ancient, like old-fashioned style that like a lot of the faces just aren't very pretty, but like it's a beautiful art style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was like taking place circa 1300s Japan. Yeah. So, yeah.
But like, I gotta give points again to the animation because like, sort of like Devilman Crybaby where it has it's got a unique, I mean, this wasn't Devilman Crybaby guy. It's got like that, like very distinct visual style. I think like this one's very distinct in its own way. Like there's no same face or anything like that. Everything feels very unique and very handcrafted, which I think is not something you see as much every day. I guess in series you don't see it, but like sometimes you see it a little bit in movies where you can maybe go for a little bit more detail, go for a little bit more of a unique touch sometimes. I really like that.
He did that one movie too, like The Night is Walk On Girl. What was it?
Yeah,
The Night is Short.
That was good too. Yeah.
Wasn't that the first movie we did for this podcast?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, because we saw that at Techno or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like one of the early ones, yeah.
We went full circle.
Yeah.
Does that mean that this is the last episode of the podcast?
It's over.
I literally keep saying we have a tournament coming up. You're not getting out of it.
What if we disappear off the face of the earth?
Well, then you're getting out of it. But like, I'll find you.
But you're also paying for the convention hotel, so you can't disappear yet.
They already paid for it. It's fine.
I was gonna say we could just die, but I feel like I'll be breaking out the Ouija board.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Ouija boards are for suckers. I go full on necromancy.
I'm not surprised.
Anywho,
no.
Let's not worry about my weekend hobbies. How about the rest of this movie, though? Envy, I don't feel like we've heard as much from you this time. How are you feeling?
I didn't want to be the one man out, but what Yin was saying earlier about people not getting into the movie, I kind of felt the same way that they were describing the critics. I appreciate people that like the movie, and I will say this. I think I said this last week off the recording. I liked it when it was basically at the end. I liked it as a series of music videos. Like, the music was great, the performances were great. I was jiving with each of the performances in the second half of the movie. As a collective whole, though, I wasn't too crazy about it. I kind of felt like they gave up on Tommy as a character, like, within the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then they kind of just focused more on, like, it was like a sharp turn for me into the music. Like, it didn't, like, the first 20 minutes really didn't have anything to do with music other than the music they were, the instrument they were playing. I forget what it's called.
I kind of set it up as like a revenge story at first.
Yeah, the Biwa, yeah. But like I said, as a series of music videos, I thought the performances and the animation were great, and I like the main singer, Avu-chan, so I'm kind of split on it.
So I definitely, like I said, like, your opinion, Envy, is one that I feel like I've heard a few, people say, so, like, I totally, like, expect
and I don't want to, and I don't want to discredit from the movie, because I'm glad I saw it, and I can see why people like it. I guess it just wasn't.
Yeah, but I can definitely see your perspective too.
I feel like more than like a cohesive movie, this is like an art kind of showcase piece. And Envy, I don't think it's surprising that you didn't like jive with it, because you are very, I don't want to say like predictable, but like you enjoy things that have like a very cohesive plot that all ties together nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few art films that I liked. Like, I remember, this is way off topic, but like, I remember 10 years ago, I saw Birdman that won the Oscar, and I saw it with my parents, and they absolutely hated the movie, and I liked it. And that was a very unique movie, in terms of structure.
It's a good movie.
So it's not like I cannot not enjoy a non-traditional movie. It's just, I just expected a little bit more.
This did not really have much of a plot, and like, even as it was kind of establishing one, I feel like the ending really took it and like flipped everything on its head.
Yeah, I don't know if this really happened in real life with that emperor. It probably did, but I didn't like the ending, because it was just like, wow, way to just you want a happy ending? Fuck you. How about a sad ending?
Yeah,
well, that's the thing. It was happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, they got back together in the end, and they were having a good old time.
It was bittersweet.
Yeah. And maybe it is sort of a reflection. I can't speak to how this emperor actually was, but there have been like ebbs and flows of like people coming into power and then basically like saying, no, you're not allowed to have this nice thing anymore, and then basically like killing a lot of people because they want to, have freedom of speech and freedom of expression and all these other things. So to have that in a movie where basically music and an art form is a thing that ties people together and brings them joy, I'm not really surprised that this was the ending that we got. Which, going off of what you said, Envy, and what Kozi said about this lacking a plot, as someone who really doesn't like video games that don't have plots, I don't know. I guess for me, this was like, I kind of understood what it was doing. And while it's not like my favorite movie, I can appreciate kind of like the message it's trying to send, even if maybe I'm not getting quite everything that it's trying to tell me.
Yeah, your opinion makes a lot of sense, Envy. I definitely get that. I will say my piece about how I felt about the narrative shift. I think like you guys were saying, it kind of feels like a revenge story in the beginning, or that's where it was trying to go, and then the narrative seems to switch into like just being about music at the end and being told fully through music. But like my interpretation of it is that like the music becomes like sort of their empowerment and revenge, and what they do to stand against those other people. So I think the story becomes all music, because like that's how they express themselves and use their voices.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
Fair, especially because it is Inu-Oh basically like giving his dad his comeuppance.
Yeah,
which is essentially what ends up killing him in the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not only
that.
I
feel like it's that up until the last 5 minutes.
How so?
Yeah,
because then obviously what happens with Tomowari happens, but like Inu-Oh also stops singing and telling people stories, and he just conforms.
I will throw out there that I have to give him a little bit of forgiveness, because the Emperor was basically threatened, hey, do what I say or I'm killing your best friend.
Yeah, I think that's why he conformed.
Unfortunately,
his best friend was killed, so he couldn't have stopped.
I mean, here's the thing, though, especially for back in the day, how much his community... He also said, like, don't ever see him again, don't ever blah, 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 do blah, 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 blah. He might not have known that happened.
That was a very public execution.
It was public for that town.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that he knew that he was already dead.
I think he was living under the impression of, if I never see him again, he will be okay. But his friend was very much, nope, I live for the music, this is my music, and I'm doing it till the day I die. So...
See, I thought it was like, he was like, we kind of did this together, this was our thing, and if my friend is dead, I don't have any reason to, like, rebel anymore. I might as well just give in.
I guess that's also a possibility.
What it ends up coming across is, oh, you know, I got fixed, so now I'm fine just being one of the sheep.
I saw it totally differently. I don't know. I saw it more like how Al was saying.
Yeah.
Like, I saw it as, like, he made that sacrifice for his friend because he thought he was going to be killed, but he was already dead and he didn't know it. That was my interpretation. And then at the end, like, it had been, like, hundreds of years or whatever, but they were able to come back together because of the music and their, you know, caring about each other and how they created this thing together.
And the last shot of him dancing, actually, at least to me, because it's so different from what he was doing earlier, where he was very free, he was very expressive.
Yeah, and there was, like, pure silence.
Pure silence. Only him in this very stiff, much more traditional method, which I'm sure is beautiful in its own way, but it's not who he is. It felt to me like a visual representation of that's a bird in a cage.
And like he was silenced, you know, I think that's the main thing about it, and how art and like freedom of expression is silenced by like the powers that be, I guess is what I felt like the movie was trying to say with that.
Which, honestly, for the time period it's depicting, like, this was a real emperor, or shogunate,
yeah.
And he was very much known for silencing a lot of his opposition and committing a lot of genocides.
Yeah.
I don't know. The ending was just such a left turn from the rest of the movie. I feel like they could have cut it off right after the finale performance.
I can see what you're saying, but I feel like it was very appropriate, and because the real Inu-Oh, we lost all of his stories at all. Like, nobody knows what his songs or stories sounded like or what his performances were like. I think it was trying to express how that was lost to humanity in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I guess they needed the ending because the beginning of the movie set in modern times, so you're wondering who this mysterious narrator is, and then it turns out it's Tommy's spirit, 600 years plus later, and then he finally gets reunited with Inu-Oh.
Yeah.
He only gets reunited because Inu-Oh finally uses the correct name.
It took him 600 years to remember, oh yeah, you said that other name one time.
He has been like 4 names.
He changed his name like 3 times in the movie.
Yeah. He's like, oh wait, that original one that you only ever said to me like once when we found out about these spirits, and then we had like a while of like doing a bunch of other things and changing our names around. Shit, he was probably sitting for like 100 years being like, what the fuck was that? It's Tomo something. It's Tomo something. What the fuck? Oh my god.
Had the biggest brain fart of all time that lasted years after his death.
Like I don't know if anyone's seen the episode of Family Guy where they do Shawshank Redemption. Have you guys seen Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
All right. I won't go into it, but like the ending where he has to remember the name of the town.
You remember the name of the town in Mexico, right? Crap!
Yeah.
Crap! You remember that town I mentioned once 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And he's just there on the beach. Man, I hope he didn't run off with that money. Yeah. But hey, he has, I guess, all the time in the world to eventually find him, and he did. And
then Tommy goes back to his kid form, and Inu-Oh goes back to his original deformed form.
I mean, I guess you could argue that's when they were having the most fun, just being friends with each other.
Yeah.
Felt like it went full circle and was a good thing. I mean, if anyone's kind of, well, I don't know. We talk a little bit about revenge, and I think the easy revenge one is the story with the father. But in a way, Tomo kind of also was trying to get revenge. It's just in the end he failed because his revenge was essentially bad-mouthing the shogunate and being like, because they were the ones who got his dad killed. But yeah, at the end of it all, it ended not so great.
So that regalia that they were all fighting over?
Yeah.
Wasn't that grass cutter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that was like supposed to be cursed is because the child emperor was killed with it. as he was trying to like flee the political strife of the Civil War. I don't remember which side he was, but
yeah, I'm sure there's like a history thing to this that we are just not privy to and did not pick up on.
Japan's history up until like the year 1900 can be best described as, was there conflict? Yes. Who was conflicting with who? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a reason that there are time periods called the Warring States.
Yeah.
Because they were all just fighting.
It's like, the Warring States, which ones?
And even when there was supposed peacetime, everyone was ready to backstab each other in the back. Case in point, Shogun from last year. That show was really good, and it basically was about them in a supposed time of peace, but it was basically who's going to backstab each other first, the show.
There's a reason, like a lot of portrayals of Yoshimitsu, he's like a crazy bastard. He was really fucked up in real life.
Oh, sorry. I thought there was going to be like a larger explanation there.
No,
He's
he
just
was.
fucked up.
Yeah, like a lot of portrayals of him are like he's insane, bloodthirsty, kills for the joy of killing, stuff like that.
Oh, so kind of like how people look at Caligula nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of people thought like he was a demon incarnate.
All right. I had a thought and I lost it. Damn it! I think it was going to be a good one too, like some kind of comparison of like, you know, we're talking about this, but it's also kind of all of history is like this in some way, shape, or form. I mean, like, maybe it was just me because I know a little more European history than like Eastern history, but the red and white ships at least reminded me a little bit of like the War of the Roses, like the Yorks and the Lancasters and all that sort of thing, and then it only came together when there was like a whole other new dynasty built out of that, and that's how we get Game of Thrones, whatever. Which is also backstabby stuff all the way through.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's any kind of power is gonna, if someone has it, someone else is gonna want it. And then there's someone else singing in the streets about how this all sucks.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Censorship.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what else to talk about here. I mean, like, what would you guys, because there's like a couple.
Performance?
Who's gonna ask that? Yeah. Weirdly enough, I think I like the hands one the best.
That was what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I love the hands one. That was my favorite.
Like, if we're gonna talk about anything, like, I think there's some like general anachronistic stuff that we have to just accept, like with them having rock and roll in the middle of this time period. But I'm like, damn, this production that they're putting on is insane. How would they do this back in the day? Of course they didn't.
What was the hands one? The second one?
It was the first one.
The first, yeah.
Okay, I think the second one was my favorite. Like when they were at night.
The whale
like,
one.
Oh, the whale.
I love the whale.
I just kind of like the portrayal of the like behind the scenes of how was this even possible? Like they made an attempt. The other thing I do kind of want to say, I really like how they actually designed the costumes for Inu-Oh and Tomowari for their performances. Mm-hmm. And they actually like captured like realistic movement in the fabrics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, again, like there's a whole lot of detail and just you can tell there was so much care put into everything that the animation was.
Do we think anything was rotoscoped?
Probably.
I saw there was a couple that I was like,
so.
Yeah, this definitely was like, that's a person doing that action, and you went over it.
But a lot of the best animation, honestly, is rotoscope.
Oh yeah, you look back at some of the really old stuff from Disney.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I would like to point out, this is just something that I was kind of laughing at later on, but the final performance has two sections in a weird way. There is the thing with there's the dragon stuff, and then there's also the actual story about Inu-Oh and what happened to him. And it kind of splits in half, and you were like, oh, this suddenly reminds me of Queen, like, doing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, it does. But also think about this. They did not prepare this because they're learning about all this in real time, so this is entirely improvised. Everything from the musical performance to the dancing to the special effects is improv in the middle of an eclipse. So, if this were real, greatest performers of all time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
The eclipse really adds something.
To time a concert into the middle of an eclipse. Insane. Especially because, Chibi, what was the April last year?
Yes.
You and me were up in Erie. We saw the eclipse. How long were we in total darkness? Like 10 minutes?
Maybe not 10 minutes, but I would say maybe about like 5 or 7 thereabouts.
Yeah. Like, it's fucking nuts to experience that, and then to experience the world's greatest improvised concert of all time in the middle of that. Yeah, we lost something by the shogunate being a dick and just not letting anyone remember any of this.
The sad thing is that his wife, or queen, was a big fan too.
Yeah, she seemed cool.
She was like, yeah, she would have been a groupie if she wasn't, pregnant and married.
Yeah. Here's why he hated Inu-Oh and Tomo. It was actually Tomo's baby.
He had 7 concubines, so
Yeah.
I don't think he cared.
Of course he did. It's his toy. He can't touch it.
Yeah, it's a control thing.
Yeah.
I want to know how he became shogun.
He killed all the other people. That's kind of the whole point of the song.
I know, but what we see in the movie, he looks like a paper pusher,
Hey, do you know how people get paid? Paper pushers.
Okay, but shogun is supposed to be the head of the samurai.
Yeah, and a lot of generals lead from the back. Nothing for nothing. I feel like majority of history's greatest tactical geniuses, generals, and all that stuff. Very few, if any of them, were ever on the front lines. They were logistics people.
I mean, a lot of Chinese generals were frontline generals.
Part of it is a thing of how large is the army that you're talking about? Is it a local thing? Is it a whole countrywide thing? How large is your domain? So I could definitely see a local lord leading his men. But someone who's I am the emperor of all of Japan, you're not at the front line of nothing. You have your 5 people, and then they have 10 people, and then they have, you're the head. You're not getting out there. I have people for that.
But again, how did he become that, though?
Usually
he would have had to start somewhere.
I think there's always... some of it's birthright. Some of these people do get in straight up through nepotism. I mean, that's always going to be a thing, no matter what. And then there's people who are just sworn to be under them.
He was the 3rd. I don't know his actual military achievements. I do know he was the 3rd or 4th kid, though.
Well, what happened to the first 2? Did they die off? I don't know.
I don't know.
This sounds like we all need to go and do some Wikipedia scholar work. But
I'm already there.
That's a Patreon content, feels like.
3rd son, but the oldest one to survive.
Okay, there you go. That's how he got his position.
He just survived.
A hereditary title.
Yeah.
And shogun.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was named shogun at age of 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff
happens.
Not to bring it back to Game of Thrones, but everybody remembers Joffrey.
Yeah. Also, there was a real life, King Henry VIII, his son, also became king very young.
Yep.
Yeah.
Real life case.
I mean, I think...
So it happens.
I think sometimes there's those people, because, we always talk about the kings and the rulers and the big guy at the top of things, but usually, when it's that, it's there's 40 guys, who are behind the scenes being yeah, no, we want the 10-year-old in charge, because then we're in charge. Until the 10-year-old grows up and then usually beheads all of them. But...
Well, sometimes, too, if there's a young prince or emperor, they have a regent in the interim.
That's what I'm talking
about. Until the kid comes of age.
Yeah. Anyway, any other thoughts on this stuff? The music? The spectacle? The story? I feel like I'm a yay here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also a yay.
I am at hard yay, of course, because I recommended this. But yeah, I love this movie. I think it's very creative and interesting. So hard yay.
Yeah. I'm a yay because I actually get to add to the short list of musicals I actually like.
There you go.
So. Nothing beats Blues Brothers, though. That's my favorite musical, and I'm going to stick with that for a very long time, if that says anything about me.
Overall, I'm a meh, but I'm a yay for the music and animation, and a hard yay for the biwa. The biwa's a badass instrument when you think about it.
Mm.
It's only 3 strings, but it packs a lot of power behind it.
Kept seeing 4.
Emotion. Oh.
You think he was shamisen?
I don't know. I wasn't a music kid.
Neither am I.
Especially hardcore when you got the electric view.
Yeah. My favorite instrument is, of course, the electric triangle, but it never got popular.
Nah.
Yeah, I'll give this a yay. It was a vibe.
I am also a yay and still on the Wikipedia. 1 wife and 11 concubines.
Wow.
That's Baker's dozen. No, not a Baker's dozen. That's a full-on dozen.
Just a full-on dozen.
It's a normal dozen. It's a peasant's dozen.
Ooh, a peasant's dozen. Don't let him hear you say that. He'll have you beheaded.
I mean, if nothing else, at least look into the, history behind what this was kind of based off of time period-wise.
Yeah.
Because it was a very interesting time period in Japan.
Yeah, certainly something cool to look up in that. But in the meantime, why don't we talk about next week? Whose is next week? Oh, Envy, I do believe your movie is next week. Would you like to tell us what your movie is and what it's about, generally speaking?
Well, it's Bayonetta Bloody Fate. I will say this.
Oh, God.
It is an anime adaptation of the first game in the series. That's all I'm going to say, because trying to describe the plot briefly is hard, to put it lightly.
It's Bayonetta.
Bayonetta is the plot. And we've all enjoyed Bayonetta for the plot.
Both of them.
You know what? You're lying. We enjoyed her for the hair.
How do you know that's not the plot?
What is the plot?
The lustrous hair.
The hair just happened to cover even more plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bayonetta Bloody Fate, we're going to be watching that. We're going to watch 2 more movies after that, and then it's tournament time. I should say what some more of the stuff is going to be for the tournament. So yeah, we covered the first 8 last week. Let's talk about the next 8. We got Princess Tutu, Mermaid Melody, Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha, Magical Do-Re-Mi, Shugo Chara, Magical Girl Ore, Is This a Zombie? And Cute High Earth Defense Club Love.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Drop another 8 next week, another 8 after that, and then we'll tell you what the matchups and all the stuff going forward is going to be after the last movie. So, anyone else got anything to say?
I'm planning my own disappearance.
Okay. That's fine. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoy this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!